Hello, juniors. This is Miss Dinkel, and I'm really happy to have you guys in my class this year. A lot of you guys I know from when you were freshmen, or I've just seen you in the hallway, or you've popped in to introduce yourself and say hi. So lots of familiar faces on my roster, and I'm excited to work with you guys again. We're all a little bit older and wiser this time, so we're going to be upping our ante when it comes to our learning and the amount of rigor that we have. So I'm excited to see how much you guys have grown and to watch you guys grow throughout this school year. I wish that you were here with me to learn in person, but as soon as everything's safe and ready, your desks are all waiting for you as far apart as possible to keep us safe. And the only thing missing is you guys. I'm going to hop right into this presentation because I know that you guys have probably a million of these to watch. So a little bit about myself first, in case you don't know me. I am I have lived in Arizona for 12 years, so I consider myself an Arizonan, but I'm also a hometown girl, and my hometown is in North Dakota. So very, very different than it is here. It's very cold there in the winter. My family likes to come and visit me in the winter because it's so beautiful here. I have a dog. His name is Tarzan. I'll probably talk about him a lot, or a lot of you guys probably are like, oh yeah, I remember Tarzan. You talked about him. A couple of things that might be new is I got married this last summer. Thankfully, it wasn't planned for this summer. I got married to my husband, whose name is Eddie, and we got married in Jamaica. It was really, really fun. We had a lot of people come and join us, so that's really, really cool. And some more news I have that you guys would know if I was with you in person is that I'm going to be having a baby in December. So I'm going to have a little New Year's baby, and I'll be sure to share pictures with you as soon as she's born. So that's my exciting news. Let's see, I went to the University of North Dakota. I got my bachelor's there, and then I came to Arizona and I got my master's at ASU. So I am mostly a University of North Dakota fan, but I can get into some ASU stuff as well. All right, so let's start talking about class. This is English 3 this year, so we're going to look a little bit different. Basically, the main thing we're going to be looking at this year is what is an American. And I don't mean what is the dictionary definition of an American. I want you guys to develop your own concept of this because junior English is actually American literature. So we're going to read nothing but literature that was written by American authors, and we are going to see how history and culture and society and politics and things like war and slavery and genocide, how all of those things have shaped what it means to be an American and how we identify ourselves today, how we're all different and also how we're all very similar and how we can all live together peacefully in this great country that we live in. So that's going to be the big question that you guys answer, and we're going to get there. We're going to be moving closer to that answer every single day. So basically, let's look at quarter one, which is what's going to be online. So some of this stuff is going to look different online than it will in person. So I'll try to distinguish between those two. All right. So quarter one, you guys are going to be starting at the very beginning of American history, which is with the Native Americans and the literature that they've produced. So we'll be reading some things like mythology that's very, very ancient, and then some newer writings, and possibly watch some documentaries and see how the plight of Native Americans has developed today. And then we'll be finishing the quarter by reading The Crucible, which moves us into the Puritan age when European settlers started to come over to the United States. So you can kind of look through these screens. Of course, we're going to be incorporating writing as well as language like grammar and things like that. So you can't see the rest of this slide, but I'll post this up on your Google Classroom, which you'll see the codes for momentarily. Quarter two, we're going to move into our Enlightenment and the Age of Reason, and this is when you're going to be focusing on rhetoric, which is the art of persuasion. So we will read works by all these guys up here. Notice there's always supplementary informational texts included in these major readings, and what that means is that we're going to try to incorporate some more modern stuff to compare it with some of this more ancient stuff so that we can get a better understanding of it. For quarter three, we're going to move into the Romantic era, and the Civil War era. So we have our Romantics and our Dark Romantics, which is probably my favorite unit when we read Edgar Allan Poe. And then we move into the Civil War era, and this is when we move into realism. So we'll have a really, really fun unit with Emily Dickinson. Her poetry is really approachable and really meaningful, so that should be really fun. And of course, supplementary informational texts and reading, and you're going to be participating in a lot of group discussions, especially when we're online. That's going to be a big part of our daily class. So, all right, in the final quarter, when that looks like so far into the future, but it will happen based on how things are going. We're going to be reading one of my favorite authors of the Great Depression era, and that's John Steinbeck. And there's two wonderful novels that he wrote called The Grapes of Wrath, and the other one is Of Mice and Men. So I'm going to be kind of choosing which one it looks like we'll have time for, but they have very similar themes and very similar writing styles because it's the same author. So whichever one of those we choose, you'll enjoy it and get a lot out of it. All right, and of course, all of your writing and stuff like that. Here's the required materials. It's not very much, other than, of course, the computer that you need for the online stuff. But once we get back into the classroom, this is really all you're going to need to bring with you. I'm not using a textbook. I will print everything for you guys, or I will scan it into the computer so you can have it at home. We don't need to carry those things around in a digital age, if you ask me. All right, and here is the Google Classroom codes. You might want to take a picture of this screen so that you don't have to come back to this. I said I'm going to post this on Google Classroom, so you can't see this presentation until you're able to get into Google Classroom. Now, you guys have probably heard a lot about Buzz. Buzz is going to be where I kind of welcome you, and there will be a link to Google Classroom. But if you already know how to get on Google Classroom, that's going to be where I put everything. So you can use your codes here to get onto Google Classroom, and as soon as this weekend, you can start looking at what's on there, because I'm going to try and start loading a bunch of stuff. All right, do I have anything else on here? All right, we do have weekly vocab quizzes, and I'm going to try and keep these going even online. They probably won't start for the first couple of weeks, but once we start getting into our literature, we're going to have these weekly vocab quizzes. You'll see the words on Monday, and then you're going to be quizzed on Friday. They're going to be really short, so it's not going to be anything that takes the whole class hour, and you'll probably actually be taking them on your own, not during class. So that'll be an easy task for you to accomplish if you study, of course. And a lot of this stuff is going to help you with the SAT that you're going to be taking soon. So what else? I guess I don't really know what you're going to be using when you're at home. I'm going to make my quizzes so that they aren't things that you can just Google really fast on the internet. They're going to be based off of our lessons that we have in class. So when you take other tests and quizzes, besides ones that come from the district, like our standardized tests like AZ Merit or your benchmark, every test will be open note. All right. So as we have class and I show you PowerPoints and things like that, take the notes. Even though you're going to be at home taking your tests, it's still going to be important for you to have all that information synthesized, and you need to practice your note-taking skills. So they are all open note, just like they were when you were a freshman. So taking notes is very, very important in this class. This doesn't really apply to online. I'm going to skip this and I will tell you about this when I see you guys. If you have questions, you can email me down here for now, but I'm also setting up a remind option so that you guys can text me during normal business hours. And I will have that information on Google Classroom this week so we can start implementing that as well. I look forward to seeing you guys online starting on Monday. It's going to be practice for all of us. So if nothing else, we'll just talk and get to know one another. We're also going to go over some cat stuff, so be ready for that. And it's just going to be really laid back that first week. We're going to all practice using Zoom, which is what I will use for my live lessons. And there's links to that on both Buzz and Google Classroom. So yeah, if I'm completely lost with the technology, please be patient with me. All right, guys, I guess I'll see you all on Monday, hopefully, if we can all get there.